Oh, we're
Ooh,
live. Good fighters. What's happening?
ooh,
Coming to you with a lot of connection and
ooh, kill 'em.
tension and a whole healthy helping of purpose.
A whole, what is it? 4 to 8 cups.
48 cups. It's not the what's the you have your recommended daily allowance. We're at the allowance level. You know what I mean? We're pushing the boundary on that purpose.
Oh,
Almost too
buddy.
much purpose.
Almost overdosing on the purpose.
All right.
I love it. I love it. Yo, today is on a Saturday. It's getting hot.
Like that
We're
dry heat.
sweating. Ooh, yeah, you better believe it. Yeah, it's on a Saturday, man. I'm excited for this one because it's a little bit different, a little bit of spice to it, and allows us to talk about what both of us love too. A lot of movement, a lot of getting it after it, getting that sweat equity. What did you say yesterday? Sweaquity?
Yeah, you combined them. Sweaquity.
Yes, the Sweaquity. We are dealing and wheeling today.
Motion is lotion, man. We always like to get that motion.
That's for dang sure. Motion is lotion, which is also medicine.
which is also medicine, and motion is life, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, bro. Guys, I'm super excited for this one. Dr. Nash, who, and compared to a majority of us, even though I know he's too humble to say, is a Weck Method expert.
Oh.
Wait, is it Weck or Wex?
You got it, Weck. You put me up on the pedestal early, but
Weck
I guess I'll just have to fill the role today.
Expert compared to 99.9% of the world, in my opinion. So, what the heck is the Weck Method, my man? What are we doing here?
So the Weck Method was founded by David Weck. He's more of a West Coast in his origins, but the fundamental principles of Weck Method are developed around the core as the central stabilizer for all human motion and locomotion, and to move with as little effort, but as efficiently as possible with our movement. So like that's
we're about that efficiency.
Yeah, and in a way, I think if anybody's out there, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but from what I understand, I think the initial inspiration just came from looking at how other, more specifically like animals in nature, how effortlessly they move. And like you see, you go to the mall, you see people walking around rigid as hell, or just really looks like it's a lot of labor for them to move. And
oh yeah, a lot of labored breathing too for some.
Exactly. And even in the gym, you see people that have all these like patterns that are like walking around like all stiff bodied, and you can do some linear movements pretty strong wise, like you can have some strength and some linear movements, but for anybody that's an athlete, right, like that doesn't correlate to hardly any sports 9 times out of 10. So if strength was a direct indicator of success as an athlete, then the strongest would win every single time. But if I've learned anything in my years of being an athlete, that's like the last thing that matters.
Yep.
To be honest.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was interesting what you said there when you look at. Is he a Cairo? I can't remember if you told me if he was or not.
Honestly, dude, I've seen some like Cairo tables in that dude's house, but like as far as I know, he's not. But he's a very I don't know. He's definitely out of the norm with a lot of his principles and his practices, and he's West Coast, so I mean he's I don't know. He's open to a lot of concepts, and honestly, a lot of his content, he uses similar verbiage that anybody that's a little bit more in the green books talks about. Dysfunction and dis-ease a lot, right? I think I shared a post with you where you mentioned those things.
Yes.
As somebody who's not a chiropractor, that's pretty cool to even read.
Right. Not a common lexicon, but
right, exactly.
It makes me think of like I like what you said about it's being foundationally off of animals and stuff. Like you think of a tiger, man. Those dudes are quick, they're powerful, and yet they're also extremely limber and very agile in how they.
Like
yes.
So like the thing weighs like half a ton, and it's right behind you. You don't even know it, right?
Right.
Like that's what some of like the origins with, I guess, like in Indonesia, a lot of like, there's like masks and stuff they would wear on the back of their head because the lore was that tiger won't attack you in your face. It'll only attack you from behind. So like they'd have these masks on the back of their head that looks like a face. So it would like kind of deter a tiger from attacking them in that way. But like, dude, they're crazy sneaky. If you watch Animal Planet or anything like that, they're so light and limber on their feet, and it's all about efficiency and quickness, right? So
Have you seen the video of the guy that he's like a tour guide on this elephant, and this tiger, you can hear him like not growling, but like kind of like making a growl sound through the grass, and you don't hear anything except for the growls, and then all of a sudden tiger just leaps out like over the elephant head, like so much power in that one movement, and like you couldn't even see it,
Yeah. They end it in like, most kills, like blink of an eye, you're done, because their jaw power is crazy strong. And like, that's essentially how they do it. They just like kind of go straight for the neck, instant, one bite, done. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, they're crazy. But like, that's kind of the inspiration for it. So, a lot of the methods are, like I said, focusing on that core stability, and they talk about it as coiling, inducing like some rotational and
You use the example like going up the stairs with that, right? Like, what does that mean, and how do you kind of like utilize it?
So in a way, you like, so for like the stair analogy, like to use like you use your front leg as a plant leg, and like coiling your torso, and you're using like your intrinsic core muscles to like rotate and almost like like a spring, right? Like compress and rotate, and then like uncoil out of that step. So like you're kind of like using your internal stabilizers as like that spring mechanism.
Right.
So it kind of like takes it like increases your ground reaction forces in a way, but uses less effort, right? So it's like a more efficient process. So that's what I understand. So like I said, if I'm wrong, please flame me, roast me up. I don't care.
Dr. Nash asking for the roast.
Roast me, please.
I think, that what you said makes sense. I mean, it makes me think of like any, hitting a baseball, right? Like you're coiling, you're compressed, and then by the end of it, you're extended fully. So it's definitely not like you want to be efficient with it though too. So you're, like you said, you're using your ground reaction forces, and you're using your own inherent muscular ability to do it too.
And I mean, emphasis, like I said, is on efficiency. So like the less you need to like move from center, the more efficient you can be with that, the more like efficiently you're going to come out of that step. So like if you are very familiar with kinesiology or any sort of exercise science background, you know that like in the eccentric phase generally is when you have your highest amount of forces. So in a way, like adding that rotational component kind of increases that eccentric load, which, that's just how we move, right? We put that force in the ground, but we never win. The ground always wins. That's how we induce locomotion. So by increasing that eccentric force, that ground's going to push back just as much, enough to like, bring us out of that step. So that's kind of where it's focused around, I think.
Does he kind of touch on like why maybe humans don't function the same as animals?
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
And he definitely has. I've watched. I've not gone through all of his content. Like I said, I'm still, as far as in like the Weck Method and even other spinoffs, I'm more of an infant into the programs. But from what I've kind of picked up so far, it's a lot of just so what we talk about, operating out of that flow state.
Yeah.
That's a lot of like the problem, is like people are very mechanistic,
automatic.
Yeah. So getting back to that flow state, that innate flow that we have, and that innate movement pattern that we can get back to as human beings as a part of nature, that's kind of what it's built around.
Yeah. And I wonder, like we talk about, all the environment that brings us out of it. Like how many people, nowadays are walking in a forest just to go for a hike. It's not a frequent thing to do. So slowly and surely, it kind of makes me think of like, have you seen, is it Wall-E? Do you ever watch that movie?
Oh yeah. Like the robots.
Yeah, where like slowly they become like basically they just float on these magnetic chairs and they're barely able to walk. Like
Floating segways.
For floating segways, dude. And that's how they spend their entire life. And
right, they're not even strong enough to like hold themselves up, and that's in like artificial gravity, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned the labored. Yeah, that labored style is becoming so apparent in our in us as chiropractors. We look at the bony structures and the nervous tissues that get affected by it. It is really astounding how much of an effect, even though people might not be in pain, but how much of an effect it has on their efficiency of the body. They might not be in pain, but how many people do we know that are chronically fatigued, that don't get enough nutrition and all this kind of stuff, and they're not moving to their efficient foundation?
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, dude, that's great. I love the way you, the efficiency is huge. And even if you, even more so if you are in pain, you're way less likely to be moving, which, last year, I'd say probably the least amount of movement in the human race and human history happened globally. Yeah. Like less steps were taken, on par for, probably like the least amount of steps taken of all time per person. So, in a way, for a lot of people, walking is like their main modality for exercise. And also in a way, walking is like one of the most fundamental forms of exercise that we've adopted as humans, because it's the most efficient form. But the less we do of it, it not only affects us physically, but mentally as well.
Right. That's so true. That's what I always tell people, like, just get out for a walk. Like, we don't just walk anymore. It's either
walk outside.
Walk outside. People feel like they have to go for a run, which I'm not knocking running, but like people just feel like, especially people when they want to lose weight, automatically assume that they just have to go run a bunch, which is like the worst thing you could probably do for not only yourself metabolically, but your joints and all those tissues that aren't even ready and prepared for that type of force.
Yeah. And the cliche stands true that you got to walk before you can run.
True. Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah. It's astounding how many times, and we'll see this in the spring, how many people will just go out and, they're not the best of shape, and then they go out and just try to run, and they're just killing themselves.
Yeah.
And it pains me to see. Not because I don't like running, even though I don't really like long distance running. I would much rather sprint personally. That's just my
I'd rather run than jog, and rather sprint than run.
Yeah.
That long distance, man, like that's where that efficiency comes into play. And
right.
My patterns. My patterns that I developed growing up were more focused around short interval, and that's just through things that I like to do, from wiffle ball to kickball to tag, or anything in between. Like I was never one to like go on like miles of runs. Yeah. I was always just like doing things where it'd be like short, quick burst speed, PCR cycle, or anaerobic type exercise. So that's just like the patterns I developed. So like my long run mechanics aren't the most efficient. So in a way that I kind of pay for it.
Well, you talk about too, like the efficiency of it. Like how many times did you and I probably both go through practicing touching as little ground as you can during your sprint, right? Like you had to go over the hurdles, minimize the amount of pressure on it so that you could efficiently run. And even long distance runners do that too, right? Like they map it down to a science how big their stride is.
And look, like if you can like really get good slow motion footage of like a world-class sprinter and look at like that time that their foot hits the ground, and if you could measure the amount of force that they're putting out. It's crazy the amount of force that they put
Yes.
out in that quick second. But that's just really preaches that, or drives that point home of like the eccentric phase is so important, and that's
Right.
where you have the most force. It's not about the amount of push you get out, but the amount of eccentric quickness that you get down, that you're going to have that ground reaction force shoot you out. So, and the thing is with the sprinters is there's this natural coiling system in those world-class sprinters that they have, that like
Yeah.
you have this slight like duck-footed type foot strike
Right.
in sprinters.
It's like externally rotated a little bit.
And that's just like advantageous to like our human frame. So
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know where the trend came from.
Yeah.
But
I always thought that was so funny looking. Like you see somebody running and it's so goofy. Like you look at it and you're like, that can't be how we're supposed to run. But they're usually the quickest guys that are doing it, right? Like
totally.
it's wild. So how do you train the Weck method? Like what does that even look like?
So a lot of the foundations are done from, I'm trying to remember what the term so positions are like the foundation. So Bosu balls, those are huge, especially for learning positions, and also using landmine work. So landmines where you can, if you were to like, if this was a barbell, and if I had like if you've ever seen one of those units that you like slide the barbell in.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do like presses like this.
Right.
So really focusing on like creating that coil mechanism. That's how it kind of starts. And it's like walking before you can run. So like you really, before you even dive into the advanced movements, or even just like more complex movements, you really just got to hammer home that like what a balanced position feels like with that rotation and just holding that static position. So
now your feet square to the landmine, or are they staggered?
So they're staggered, but it depends on what you're doing. So there's so many applications. That's the fun part about it. For me recently, what really got me into it was just like, it's a variety, and like I'm always looking for different ways to like keep myself and my body kind of off balance with my training methods. That like,
right.
I don't know, for at least for me, I was always getting really stuck into just like kind of the same program, same movements. And if you know anything about plateauing, like that's just how you get there. It's just like you do the same stuff. And for me, that's not what I wanted. And honestly, as a chiropractor, I wanted to be training more specifically to what I do. Right, I'm not just training a football player anymore. I'm training to be a chiropractor. So, what I was doing wasn't necessarily making sense to helping myself. And even still, like I still have things that I like to do that maybe not be the best for me as a chiropractor. So,
you mix it up though. So,
yeah.
Well, so before we get into chiropractic transition too, because I want to talk about that, I want you to prep them for the mini shake weights that Weck uses.
I'm not even gonna lie, I'm probably gonna get them here really soon. So
are you really?
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely useful tools. They just like when you look at it, you're like, what in the freaking world?
Oh yeah, they look like mini shake weights. But
like when we say mini, they fit in your hand, and you can't really see them. They just fit in your hand, right?
Yep. About the size of like a
tomato paste.
Yeah, literally. Perfect. Yeah, literally that little tiny little mini can.
69-cent can.
Or like what a can of Coca-Cola looks like in the hand of Shaq. Like that's what it looks like.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like essentially, what those are. I don't have these tools. All I've really done so far is Bosu ball and that landmine work. But I think that's the next step for me, is to get some of those and some of the rope training stuff. So
he uses that to further maximize the efficiency of almost like a gyro force, right?
Yep. And there's so many different ways that you can incorporate like shoulder mobility and like efficiency of movement.
That's really good for chiro too.
Oh, totally. It, like the concepts are like this, man.
That'd be
And
huge.
like as far as what I've looked at, like that is the like one of like the premier ways to train as a chiropractor.
Right.
Because literally, as you and I know, the adjustment, it's anything but linear, right? So,
Yes, sir.
being able to come from those different angles and those arcs, those ropes are huge, and
Right.
that's something I really am looking forward to getting into. But the pulsers, getting back to the shake weight things, so it's like it's really driving home that like that initial coil, but like you're also kind of you got using your entire body, like it's all one. That's the other thing that's in nature. When you move, like when you see a horse run, the horse isn't thinking mechanically, okay, I got to really push off with my right leg and like push front left. It's using its whole body as like the movement, right? So it's really helping you engage not just your core, but like your whole torso, and like to do it in a way that feels natural, to drive yourself out of your steps, and like it really gets your timing and your rhythm down.
Right.
So
what we talk about too, real quick with that, is if you're a chiropractor and you're not training your core properly, not crunches, then you better get on it, because it's so heavily involved, and your patients need that guidance too, I think. But with that too, when you talk about the shake weights and using them to your advantage within a movement, I like what you said about it not being linear, because in order to get a proper adjustment for some patients and actually practice that art, you have to get in some weird positions. And on top of that, you have to, I think, in my opinion, like we've gone back and forth about this too, is allow innate to lead you in that way also. Because there's going to be ways where you don't learn in school and you only like are in the moment and you're like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I feel like I need to do this. And then you do it and the adjustment's fire. Like it's the weirdest thing.
Yep.
But I think the more we have let our body and train our body efficiently to allow that capability, the more our patients obviously are going to reap the benefits every time. And our bodies are too. Like, we're not going to be breaking down. I don't know about you, but I want to be that 95-year-old chiropractor that's still practicing out here.
I'm living to 200, bro.
200-year lifestyle, baby.
2 centuries. I don't want to live forever, though.
Huh?
Life's all about balance, bro. I don't want to live forever. But
that's fine. That's
200
okay.
is a cool number.
The cycles is how it's supposed to be, man. That's all right.
Kind of like maybe I'll go through this period or I'll go back to sleep like Rip Van Winkle. But
or like what was that Tibetan monk that I just sent you? He was like 256 years old.
Yeah.
Status.
There you go.
We're gonna take that trip, by the way, man. We're gonna make it happen. I'm telling you.
Totally.
If you don't know what we're talking about, read the forward in Supernatural, or Becoming Supernatural. Sorry, by Dispenza. Bet. Okay.
They have that at Barnes and Noble. Like pretty commercial bookstores have that book because it's a good book.
I just rented mine from the library.
Oh, cool.
Because I wanted to check it out first. I wish I would have bought it though. Chantel didn't let me. But
I'm pretty bad at like renting books from libraries. I'm just like, I'm just gonna buy it. Like,
are you the guy that like 5 years from now you have a outstanding library charge of like $6,000?
Honestly, I don't know.
You seem like the type.
If Palmer's watching this, I mean, whatever. But I did try to. So, in my defense, I rented. No, I didn't. I brought it back, but I had a bigness, and like it was like literally on his last legs. I'm like, dude, if anybody else checks this out, this thing's falling apart, right?
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'd been just like working through it, and
I
like went up. I'm like, hey, so what do you guys do with the green books? I'm like, when they need to be retired. Like, look at this thing. The binding's all shot, and like this thing's been on the shelf since like the 90s. And like, oh, we just do some ambiguous process and put them in the archive or BS, I think. But I was like, so is there any way that I could like buy this from you guys and like you guys just take one from the bookstore and put it on the shelf, like just like
like freshen up.
Yeah, can I rescue this book, right? Like, no, that's what they told me. So
no, you cannot.
And I went through this internal thought, like, do I risk like just taking this thing? And no, I didn't do it. I know I probably should have.
You probably should have, man. I mean,
you guys,
You stinkers.
I
This
know.
this book, Mind Over Meds by Andrew Weil, who is mentioned in like Barge's books and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I've had this from Columbus. I'm pretty sure they forgot about it.
Nice.
Good. Actually, it's probably been about a year now. So, well, all right, dude. Let's get into that application status of Weck into your. I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but how you felt influenced by Weck into the adjustments. Like, have you noticed a difference? Have you felt more efficient in your adjustments? More efficient at the end of the day when you have multiple adjustments?
So going through clinic, right? Like the most people you serve in a day is like maybe 3 or 4. Maybe some days you get like 6, right? Like
Yeah,
on a busy day. I don't even know about anymore. I feel like anymore it's like
definitely not during
2.
COVID.
So,
One if you're lucky.
but the thing is, you always, at least for me, talking about, successful chiropractors who serve a lot of people, and I want to be able to do that. So,
Yeah.
building up my capacity for work is huge. So, I don't know about you, but in a field like this where you're really empathetic and really connecting with somebody, you got to be able to like protect yourself in a way that like,
100%.
so for me, I've already like noticed that like, stamina wise, I feel pretty solid, dude. I don't really feel like I have, I'm obviously I'm not even
Yeah.
close to that threshold, which is good, but,
Yeah.
that's something I already feel solid. But I'd say, more than anything, I like it just gives me a peace of mind that like, I'm not training in a way that like I'm taking on like these tension locks. At least that's what makes sense to me. Maybe that's not an actual term, but like
Yeah.
a tension lock from just like really just being super tense and like gripping a bar and really just trying so hard to get a weight up. Like once upon a time, I like that stuff, but like for me, when I'm serving somebody, I can't hold tension like that. Like
Right.
that goes from me to them almost immediately. So
They sense that heavy handedness.
yeah. And a lot of the, you get further along, at least like with landmine stuff, it really is like an explosive type thing. So I've liked it a lot. It's definitely correlated pretty well for me in my lifestyle,
Right.
how I practice.
Nice. That's
So
what's
yeah,
up.
dude, I like it.
I like that point that you made too, that holding that tension. I think one thing that I've been trying to more subliminally work on is keeping my fingers loose, like more
Yeah,
free, but my wrists solid. Because in that sense, like you protect yourself, but then you're able to deliver the adjustment based with soft hands.
yep.
Which is huge. Because I always think like, dude, I remember seeing this one guy, big dude, like had to be like 6'5", like 250 at least, maybe 300. Big old meat hooks for hands, right? But just like his adjustments, you could tell were very heavy-handed, and his patients didn't look very comfortable. And I don't want to be like that, Like we've all been on the other end of a heavy-handed person, and it's not fun. We've been that heavy-handed person.
Oh yeah,
So, like,
dude, if you're there now,
we're
okay.
not exempt.
No matter if you're just some other regular Joe watching this or listening to this, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in that initial state. If you're, let's say, you're seeing a chiropractor, it feels like he's kind of heavy-handed. He or she might be working through that. That's okay.
Yep.
We've definitely all been there. And if you're a student in school, it's definitely okay too. But that's something to be aware of, right?
Yep. And I think like you can help your fellow students to be like, hey, like, relax a little bit. Like it's okay.
Constructive criticism's huge, man.
Yeah.
One thing
Well,
I've never
with
really,
that, you got to get hands on because you can't
Yeah.
get down in school. Like, yeah.
Don't take criticism personally, especially when it comes to like anything that technique wise, obviously for chiropractors out there, but like I don't know, like criticism in a way, like it's meant to help, right? It's not anything that like tear you down. So there's kind of a stigma that like, I gotta just like, I don't want to say, to this person, oh, you could be a little bit softer, or like, you know what I mean? You could be a little bit quicker, or, having some sort of constructive criticism. Like, don't false prop somebody up on something that you feel like you can maybe give them some insight on, right? Yeah.
Right. Excellent point, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tell
I
the
love
truth,
that.
right? Above all else, tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Um, yeah, dude. So that, I mean, it sounds like the Weck method's kind of revolutionizing too, just your overall thought process in how you, I don't want to say how you view your body, but I guess how you view your body as what's the word? Not like a lightning rod, but as a, you know,
I almost feel like
conduit for what you're trying to deliver.
these are like jumper cables, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
that's what I think about. Like, got
Right.
some jumper cables right here. Got a positive and negative. Have you ever seen the rundown? A little bit of thunder and a little bit of lightning, right?
Exactly, man.
I
Oh
don't know.
my god.
I'm a weird dude though, so that to me is
That's
what
what's up.
I think about.
Yeah, we need that, dude. We need that. So I mean, Weck method is probably the game changer for most chiros, especially those training in school.
Chiros, I mean, literally athletes that are, if you, I can't. It's hard for me to even think of a sport that it wouldn't be a good training method for.
That's true. Yeah, you
I
could
mean,
literally, whether you're just average Joe that loves working out, too.
unless your ultimate goal is to like be like a strongman powerlifter, which is awesome. I love that. Go pursue that for sure.
Right.
So there's always kind of like a yin and yang thing. Like it's
Yep.
not going to be 100% great for somebody with those goals, because to get to those levels, you got to be able to just pull and push insane amount of weight. So you really got to have loads there. And this isn't one of those things where you can just absolutely throw on 600 pounds and do a split jerk landmine press. Like you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's not the goal though. So you just got to know what your goals are and kind of go from there.
True. That's what's up. Go based on your goals. And if you're, I mean, go check out, where can they find the Weck method at too?
Instagram's a really good place. I mean, I feel like nowadays anybody listening to this is probably on Instagram. So go to Instagram, check out their page. David Weck, he's the founder, but Weck Method has their own separate page, and they've got, they've got a lot of good reasons.
They got other trainers on there too.
You can kind of look at different ways that they use their method. There's, I mean, excuse my crude terminology, but 1,000 ways to skin a cat or whatever, right? So I mean, they're always innovative. Which is cool. They've got some really good affirmations from like world-class sprinters, other different types of athletes on there. That's like, it's not just some like who's this
Crazy
guy
leader.
training this way saying he's getting better, right? Like they've got some valid people coming on there.
And scientific validation, because he shows them running in the GRF and everything.
Yeah, well, I'm not even sure about the GRF, but that's just like how, from my background, that I understand about it. But one cool video that's anecdotal, but essentially he had this woman on there. I think she's like 85. I don't want to misquote. She's an older woman. She hasn't run in like 20 years, and he had her in there, had her working with some pulsers, and like got her running for the first time in like 20 years. And just because she could figure out, she was just relearning how to run in a more efficient way. I don't know, man. If you're older and like you want to run and you can get there just by changing your method, man, that's powerful.
Worth it. That's well worth it.
Yeah, dude.
That's what's up, man. I love that. So check out David Weck and then the Weck method, both separate accounts on Instagram. I'm sure they probably have some YouTube stuff out there. Any closing thoughts, my man?
Good fighters, wherever you are, whoever you may be, if you're out there fighting the good fight, keep putting those rounds in and let us hear about it, right? So
yes, sir. Put the rounds in, fire them off, baby. It's on a Saturday.
Go to the bell, right?
What?
Finish through the whistle.
Yes, sir. Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Nash, thank you so much for bringing some of the Weck method to our beautiful ears today. With all that connection, intention, and purpose that we all love. And I learned some pretty valuable information, even more than we've talked about before. So for me, I don't know if my gym has the landmine press, but I'm definitely interested in figuring out a way to get that.
but you can buy them. Like you can literally buy them, so you can like put them. So like essentially they fit like a barbell into like a bumper plate, and then you can like take that thing with you. So you can.
I wonder if I could just put it like in the corner of my garage or something like that.
You can do that too. Yeah, that's another way you can just.
Well, if we don't, yeah, there's some way I can do it.
Yeah.
This gym has a lot of stuff to it though, so I'm sure.
I bet they have something.
Yeah. But all right, dude. Thank you so much for bringing that on. Good fighters keep fighting a good fight, loading them bullets, firing them off to the bell with the Weck Method. And this is on a Saturday.
It's on a Saturday. Keeping it hot.
Yes, sir. Coming in hot. Sweaquity.
Choose your destiny.